Yo, yo. Want to wish all the fathers out there a happy Father's Day. This was the first Father's Day I've experienced um, without my father. He died January 11th, 2017. And I spent the weekend at one of my best friends from high school in Michigan. His wedding was this Saturday, so I flew in Friday. I spent some time with my mother, and then we did a rehearsal dinner, did the wedding, stayed up late, etc. And then the Sunday following the wedding was Father's Day, and I went home to see my mom because she lives about 40 minutes from where the wedding was, and we were hanging out. And she asked me if I would accompany her to my father's gravesite. And I said, of course. And she was very gentle. She said, is that okay? Is it going to bring up too many emotions or what? I forget the exact wording she used, but I said no. I said that's what we should be doing today. So we drove to the gravesite, and we were actually looking at my other ancestors' tombstones because we have yet to make the final approval on my father's tombstone. So we're kind of copying my great uncle's tombstone, as my father would have wished. He would like it to be uniform with his family. And I asked my mother. Well, we spent some time there, and my mother started to get emotional, and she said, I have to go. And I said, I'd like to stay a few minutes alone. And she said, okay. And after she left, there were just... The moment cut through all the bullshit. Excuse my language, but I felt like I could feel my great uncle Harold and my great uncle Seymour and their parents. I felt like I could feel them around me. And I felt my father around me, and there was this feeling of intense love, as if whatever form those souls or people, or whatever word you would like to use, whatever form they are in now, they understand me fully. They see all of me, and they love me unconditionally. And my eyes welled up until they were full, and then they emptied out. But the tears that flowed out of my eyes on Sunday were not tears of despair. They were the tears of a young man becoming a middle-aged man who was loved. And I realized that feeling, those souls or spirits of those people are not locked in that cemetery. They're with me all the time. And if I just take a moment, as I am right now, I can feel them with me, loving me unconditionally. The This was a long introduction because I left the gravesite that day, and as I walked back to the car, dried my tears and found my mother perusing other aisles and held her hand as we walked back to the car. And my best friends, with whom I'd spent the last couple days at the wedding, I realized all have their fathers still with them in the physical form. And with hesitancy, because we were all left the wedding very high and very euphoric, because of the celebration itself. We were proud of our brother for tying the knot. And I was hesitant. I didn't want to distract from his moment. And I didn't want to sound pedantic as I write. But we have a group chat on WhatsApp. We keep in touch. And I wrote this to my best friends. Hey boys, I was hesitant in writing this. I don't want to distract from AO's weekend, because it's AO's weekend. And I don't want to seem pedantic. But at the same time, I would regret not telling you to enjoy this Father's Day hangover and all. I mean, really enjoy it. My mother and I spent some time at the cemetery, and I just want to remind you that there are only so many Father's Days left you guys are going to have with your fathers. So call them, say what you need to say, hug them, thank them sincerely for being a father when we all know too many people who never knew theirs. Remind them that you wouldn't be here without them, because frankly, you wouldn't. Well, I'm not reminding you of your father's impermanence because I want you to feel sorry for me. In fact, I explicitly do not want you to feel sorry for me. Here in seat 3A, flying back from Detroit to LA in first class, God bless, I feel blessed, grateful, and excited because I got to say all of these things to my dad before he passed. And I just want to make sure that you seize the opportunity to do the same. That opportunity is now. And if you're hearing this podcast, it's no longer Father's Day. But Father's Day is just an excuse to tell your father you love them. It's an excuse to tell your father that you're grateful for your life. It's an excuse to pick up the phone and call them and say thank you for being in my life, for teaching me all that you taught me. For sleeping next to my crib because I wouldn't let anyone hold me but my mother. I slept on the floor next to my crib for a month. For driving me to the studio when I made rap music that you didn't understand. For loving me no matter where I was on the charts. For teaching me there are 2 H's in life: health and happiness. For telling me to take the high road, etc. You don't need a holiday to say thank you for these things. And furthermore, you don't know when your father's going to pass. I was lucky. My dad was diagnosed with terminal illness and I got to move home. I worked for myself. I got to drop everything. I moved home and I spent the better part of his last 10 months there, living back in the house with him. I got to do this stuff. I knew the end was coming. But you may not be so lucky. A heart attack. A car accident. This shit happens. And imagine how you would feel losing your father, not being complete. So get complete. Pick up the phone.